All the playwrights throughout history, arguably none more famous than William Shakespeare, of course. Not only did he write everything from comedies to tragedies, but also acted in them as well.
And staff at St George's Guildhall in King's Lynn claim to have discovered a stage which the bard himself performed on. Our entertainment correspondent, Colin Patterson, has been taking a look.
The boards of the bard.
We know that these were definitely here in 1592, and in 1592 we think Shakespeare is performing in King's Lynn. So this is likely to be the surface that Shakespeare was walking on.
The actual floorboards
The actual
that Shakespeare
Yeah.
performed on. Dr. Jonathan Clark was researching St George's Guildhall in King's Lynn as part of a council-backed renovation project when a discovery was made.
We wanted to open up an area just to check, just to see if there was an earlier floor surviving here. And lo and behold, we found this.
Quite a thought that Shakespeare could have stood right here.
It is, isn't it? And it's the only upper floor that we've got which is still in something of its original state, where he could have been walking, he could have been performing.
A combination of scientific analysis, a study of the structure and historical documents was used to confirm the age of the floor.
The nature of oak is such that it's so hard after it's been used in a building after several hundred years, it's like steel.
Can I have a go?
Yeah.
It's pretty solid.
Very solid.
The Guildhall is the oldest working theatre in the UK, with performances dating back to 1445.
We're standing amongst the seats. What kind of setup would it have been back in Shakespeare's time?
Well, this would have just been a level floor all the way back up the hall there, and in fact, at that end of the hall, that is where the privileged people, the wealthy, would have sat, and they would have been watching what was going on down at this end of the hall. So if there was a performance going on, it would have been in this area. So Shakespeare, if he was performing here, would have been on this spot.
And when it comes to stages, of course, it's a subject Shakespeare famously wrote about.
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players.
But as for the proof that Shakespeare stood on this one,
We've got the borough account books from 1592-93, which prove that Shakespeare's company was paid to play here in this venue. We know that Shakespeare was on stage in 1592 due to what was essentially a bad review by a man called Robert Greene, also from Norfolk, who wrote that Shakespeare was an upstart crow. Plus, the London theatres were all shut that year due to the plague. So if Shakespeare was playing anywhere in 1592-93, it was in this venue in King's Lynn.
and Tim took me for a look at more of the floor.
OK, so if we go under the new stage, then you can see another expanse of the floor, another huge area. Oh, just watch out, mind your head. You can really see under here more of it. Mind the rat traps.
Wowee.
Look at that.
This is reaching out.
Yeah. So look, we've got the floor right here. You can see it again, these huge beams.
Right the way across.
Right the way across and right the way up to the back wall. About the size of a tennis court, this floor is. 600 years old. Not just Shakespeare's trodden on it, but everybody else in between. And we're trying to make that safe and share it with everybody for the next hundreds of years going forward.
First up, a talk tonight in the theatre where their findings will be shared and debated and the future of the floor discussed. Colin Patterson, BBC News, King's Lynn, Norfolk.
I'm sure Colin was delighted to do that report until he was told to rummage around and avoid the rat traps. That would have been quite concerning. But it's fascinating. See what happens.
Who's got the Shakespeare quote? You got the Shakespeare quote?
No. Carol will
Carol, have you got the Shakespeare quote ready?
Only to be or not to be, Charlie? That is the question. Is that the one you're asking me?
To shine or not to shine? That is the question.
When 'twere done, 'twere best done quickly.
Alas, poor Yorick.
How about
Let's
that?
move on.
Yeah.